right, guys, I got all my parts all done. Hey, you got AKA the Weathered Soul and DJ Dougie on the Weathered Soul podcast, the Damn Yankee Compost Bin by AKA the Weathered Soul. And you got me, AKA the Weathered Soul, and DJ Dougie. See, I got that right this time, although I filmed that on the screen right, but there's DJ Dougie over there. How's it going, buddy? How you doing?
Reach across.
We're doing good. Hey, this is the best podcast you've never heard of, and we're just glad that you are here today. If you're here on YouTube Live, please hit that share button, hit that like button, and subscribe to our podcast. If you're sitting here on Facebook Live, please also share this and like it and give me a thumbs up and all that other good stuff that we do. And it's just been a great weekend for me. We were kind of late. We were supposed to do this on Monday night, but I decided to become a videographer, and that took up a whole lot of time. And I now know that I hate video editing. Video editors make all kinds of money.
You know, you should send your stuff over to Louis. Let him do it. I'm sure he's bored. Hasn't been any shows lately.
Just absolutely crazy. Today's podcast, like I said, is already the where is it at here? It's the Damn Yankee Compost Bin by AKA the Weathered Soul, and I got a bone to pick.
I like that. I like that.
You do, and you know what? You coined that phrase, that Damn Yankee, to us a couple weeks ago, and I thank you, Dougie, for that. But I got a bone to pick, you guys, and there ain't nobody watching us right now anyway, so it doesn't matter because I don't have anybody in the room right now, and I don't care. But listen, guys, me and Dougie both told you guys, shows and show after show. This is your show. I mean, me and Doug, we like to talk about the news. We like to talk about politics. We like to talk about COVID, which we're not talking about today. But, I invite you guys to come over to our group page, and we have newsletters and stuff like that. And, I put in a request for topics this week, and we have 85 people in our group. Let me share that group with you right now. Let me pull that up real quick. Let me see how in the hell did I do that, Doug?
Oh, you're putting them out on the carpet now, dude.
But I want to add to the screen. This is the AKA the Weathered Soul podcast, WSLN Weathered Soul Network Facebook site. And all you got to do when you go up there is just type in that little search box, AKA the Weathered Soul. It'll come right to that site. And this is the group page. As you can say, I have 86 members in that group page, and we have a good time. For the most part, a lot of people, put in their comments and give me likes and stuff like that. But I put in a poll for some topics, and I polled the people with about 5 or 6 different topics. And lo and behold, I was the only one to respond to the poll. So,
not everybody's got as much free time to hang out on Facebook.
Not everybody's got enough free time, but everybody that I know that's on that site, that is on that group, is busy on Facebook. And poor old me again. Okay, poor old me again.
Oh, no! Think it's rabbit hole syndrome.
So I picked the topic for it, and we've been talking about it for a week, and I've been wanting to do the compost bin anyway. So that is going to be the sole thing of our show tonight.
Excellent.
There's no audio. So we have no anchor.fm audio this week because the videos aren't going to transfer over to the audio podcast very good. So we're just this is exclusive. So you're watching history right now with Weathered Soul Podcast, the best podcast that you've never heard of, with me, AKA the Weathered Soul, and DJ Doug. And we're here, and we're going to talk about our compost bin tonight. But I want to hear exactly what Dougie wants to say, because we were having an interesting conversation before we got on the air. And Dougie's got a little editorial that he wants to swing by before we start this thing. Go ahead, Doug. What's up?
Well, as us 17-year cicadas are coming out of our holes again, and we're starting to get out into the community. I've been commuting more with more people every day. I go at different times. Sometimes, I leave at 7:30. Sometimes I don't leave till 8:30. regardless, it seems that almost every day for the last 2 weeks, I've had at least a 10-minute delay due to an accident, or sometimes more. And I'm just wondering, and I don't want to sound like a fascist, okay? And I don't want to sound too liberal, because I grew up in a place where highway law enforcement was over the top. Over the top. You didn't get in your car without being tense about where the cop is hiding. And they pull you over and give you tickets for anything. They have the code book there, and it's like Barney Fife. I mean, you violated section 902. Your window is rolled down on the street. I mean, crack windshield. I got pulled over one time, got to fix a ticket for one of my taillights being brighter than the other because, we got a lot of rain and stuff there, and some water got up into the wheel well, and it rusted one of the ground screws for a taillight. So it was a little resistive. So that light wasn't as bright as the other one. I had to have my entire car. It was a brand new car. I mean, it was only like 3 years old. I had to have the entire thing inspected at the motor vehicles, where you go through a garage. They have the everything. We're testing the brakes and the parking brake, the alignment of the headlights, blah, 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 blah. They'll pull you over for anything. They're sneaky. They have like hitchhikers on the entrance ramp that have radar guns. They have school buses set up on the overpass with radar guns. They have drug confiscated cars that they'll put a plainclothes cop in and drive at 90 miles an hour and hope somebody hooks up behind them and then give them a ticket. I mean, it's really bad. So I don't want to live like that. But I think that it's responsibility of our chips to take some of these dangerous drivers off the road and some of these dangerous vehicles off the road. Because the accidents are happening, either because of defective equipment or dangerous driving or inattentive driving. Now, inattentive driving, I know we're all busy, and sometimes you got to look down. I do it, I look down and look up, look down, look up, because I'm looking for my coffee cup or whatever, right? I'm looking up when I'm drinking my coffee. I'm not perfect, but I don't follow too close, right? I always give myself a nice leeway there, so I don't hit anybody. Right. So these are practices that have to be taught to the public. And the only way they're going to learn is by getting a ticket. But I don't see chips give out tickets. I said this many, many times. One trip from New York to Boston and back, you will see more highway patrol cars from Boston, from Connecticut, and from New York State than you will see in 20 years of commuting from San Francisco back to here to Gilroy. I'm not kidding, because I've lived here I've lived here 25 years now. And I swear to God, I think I have seen fewer highway patrol cars in California giving out tickets on the side of the road than I would in 1 year in New England.
Yeah, I agree. So, my thing is that I like to educate people while I'm on the road. So, I mean, if I'm in the commuter lane, which I usually do on my own because I pay for that lane, and you argue with me that I don't pay for that lane, but I do pay for that.
No, you pay for it dearly. About extra $700-800 a year.
and I paid for it dearly one time when I got pulled over. But if somebody comes up to me and I'm doing 75, which is over the legal speed limit, but if I'm doing 75 and somebody's coming up to me, 20 miles an hour more, doing 95, and then they're going to get on my butt and ride my butt. Well, first thing I usually do is I kind of look in my rear view mirror, and then I just take my foot off the gas.
Yeah, well, that is one thing to do. The other thing to do is to move over and let him by.
No, I don't do that usually, because usually if the guy's doing 20 miles faster than I'm doing, and I'm already doing over the speed limit.
Who are you? Who are you to determine what his personal responsibility should be?
If you look at my name, it says AKA the Weathered Soul. That's who I am. And one of these days I'll put the banner out there in the back.
Well, you see, now here's another thing too. In Connecticut, you would get a ticket for that because there's a rule, and it's here too.
Yes.
Okay.
Traffic.
And it says that slower traffic is supposed to move right, and you are supposed to stay right except to pass.
That's right.
If I've got a ticket in New York State one time, I actually had an off-duty New York cop in a Jeep chased me at like 90 miles an hour for like 15 miles, the last 15 miles of New York into Connecticut, where I got off in the first exit, and he came out and pulled up next to me in his Jeep and started yelling at me because I was driving in the left-hand lane, but the right-hand lane was all busted up like 101 is. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm not wrecking my car in your shitty road. Right? That's how crazy these cops are.
Oh my gosh. Hey, I have had a ticket for impeding traffic. I don't remember what the circumstances were, but I did get it's an infraction here in California. It's actually not a ticket. It was part of a ticket that I had got. I remember, I think I had gotten a little fender bender or something like that, and I got an infraction for impeding traffic. And yeah, I think it was actually getting on the freeway. I was impeding traffic. I think I had gone to the front of the line and cut in line. I cut in line. And,
oh, well, you
yeah,
should have to go back to kindergarten.
Yeah, I got to go back to kindergarten again and start from zero. But
so in Connecticut, passed the right turn on red law.
mm-hmm.
If you did not come to a full stop and use your turn signal before you right turned on red, you would get a ticket for running a red light.
Wow.
Period effing id.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were looking for it, you know. I mean, it's not like here where they say, "Oh, got to use hands-free, you know, cell phones," all right, and they make it a law. And then it's like, okay, the only time you get a ticket for it is if you get in an accident because you're on your phone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, if that happened in Connecticut, every time a cop saw somebody with their hand up, they would pull them over, give them a ticket, and then search the car and you know, see, oh, maybe the windshield's cracked or one taillight's brighter than the other, or what else they could screw them for.
And that's
so you just don't want to get pulled over. That's all there's to it.
And that's what Dougie thinks about the highway patrol right now. So you know, we always have these interesting conversations. And Doug said, "Hey, I got an editorial to do, so I'm gonna let him do an editorial today." And you know, you guys like Dougie more than me, so I mean, you know, why not? But anyway, hey,
well, maybe next week we'll talk about those pickup trucks with the tires sticking outside the fenders.
Yeah, maybe we'll do
shooting
that.
rocks into your windshield and costing you $250.
Absolutely. And this is the Weathered Soul Podcast, the best podcast you've never heard of. Hey, I want to show you something here that I picked up the other day. It is the Weathered Soul Podcast page on iTunes. Look at that, iTunes. The Weathered Soul Podcast. I've been asking you guys for months and months and months. We're probably 150 shows into this podcast. We got a couple of reviews there, but I need you guys to go over here because iTunes is the #1 place that people go to get podcasts and download. And you know what? I'm going to tell you a secret about the Weathered Soul Podcast. You don't even have to listen to it. All you have to do is hit this little button right here, subscribe. And when you subscribe, it downloads every time we have a podcast and we get ranked up. And even better than that, you can write a review. You can write a stinky review. You can write a glowing review. You can give us 5 stars like Nicole Odomat, or you can give us 5 stars like Gary Burke, or you can give us 5 stars like Josh Forsythe. You know, all these guys are great listeners to the podcast. We thank every one of them for being there. But you know what? Doing this job is damn hard, man. Let me tell you something. You know, it's really, I love doing podcasts. I love talking to Dougie. I love talking. I mean, it's prevalent in everything that I do. If you follow me on any of my other podcasts, like the Morning Drive and stuff like that, which you can get the Morning Drive right here on WSLN, the Weathered Soul Liberty Network on YouTube. This is our YouTube page. And there you can go get the one show that we did about What About This, The In the Pit of My Stomach, Bruce for Liberty, the Morning Drive. You can get the Weathered Soul Podcast. I mean, so there's all kinds of content that we have on our show page on YouTube, and it's there for you free of charge. And
wow.
But you know what? It takes a lot of time. I mean, you know, just to set up for this 1 hour that me and Dougie are going to talk and probably go over a little bit of an hour today because we got a little special show going for you today. But I mean, you know, it does take, you know, I was up till 10 o'clock last night from about the time I started working at 8, and I was up from 8 until almost 12:30 on Sunday night trying to get this video all together. My lovely wife, Tracy, she helped me with this video. I love her to death. We're training her to be a weathered soul. She's the one that beat me into submission as being a weathered soul, but that's another story for another day. But anyway, yeah, it really takes a lot of effort to do these podcasts, and we just appreciate any kind of comments or ratings that you can give us. I'm about ready to get down on my hands and knees and beg you guys to do this, because I really love this podcast. There's a couple of times I got butthurt and says, I'm just going to quit this podcast. I'm not going to do it. But there are people out there that want to hear us every week, and they do hear us every week. But we need more listeners. We need more listeners, and we need more money. And if you listen to us on the Anchor.fm podcast, every time you listen to us on that podcast, it comes from Anchor.fm. Every time you listen to us, we get money. A couple cents here and there, but I mean, it's money. It tells me that you guys care. And I know that a lot of people care out there. Let me tell you something. I'm one of those guys that support small business. I'm one of those guys that support anybody who wants to support me. And I go out of my way that when somebody has a concert, somebody has a restaurant opening, so one of my friends has a small business or something, I'm usually the first one at their doorstep to buy product and stuff like that. And I think that those things should be turned around. It should go hand in hand. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing that. And you know what? I might be crying a little bit, but that's just the way that I feel about it. I'm not going to say that I'm never going to support you again because you don't support me, but I'm just saying that small business goes hand in hand with small business. There's plenty of guys out there, Dan Bongino, Joe Rogan, Jimmy Dore, all those big guys that are doing all the podcasts, Adam Carolla, they got all the millions of listeners and stuff like that, but we're just small guys that are sitting here unscripted every week. We're talking about what comes to our mind. We're talking about what we think that you guys want to listen to. We even give you the venue to voice your opinion on it, but nobody wants to do it. So we're going to do what we want to do, but we're just begging you right now. Just please, go there, give us a rating, listen to the podcast every once in a while, and share it with a friend, because that's the way, businesses grow. And I've got bigger aspects than the Weathered Soul podcast. This wasn't meant to make money. It was meant just to be a podcast, to be able to entertain people out there that want to listen to us. But mainly, my businesses are my 9-to-5 job, Plexus Worldwide, which is my plant-based supplements and probiotics. There's other businesses that I have into, but it all works into the Weathered Soul podcast and the Morning Drive and Bruce for Liberties and the other podcasts that we do. And Dougie, he needs a stick of gum every once in a while, so I gotta buy him that stick of gum so he can.
If anybody out there needs solar consulting,
and he's a solar guy.
Get in touch with us through the Weathered Soul websites or pages.
Yeah.
Give me a ding dong, and I'll be glad to help you guys with anything you need.
Dougie's a great solar guy. You put the solar on our thing. My power never goes off until PG&E says that he wants it to come off. So,
well, I can turn it off from my house if I want, but only a half hour at a time.
So what I want to do is that I've been aching to do this, and I've been promising you guys this for a long time. I made a video of me making a compost bin called the Damn Yankee Compost Bin. There's it, the Damn Yankee Compost Bin. And, I'm almost embarrassed to show you the video, but, I have to show it to you because it's my first ever video. I'm not a maker. I'm not a videographer. I'm not anything, but, I wanted to show you guys how I make this compost bin. And it's a real nice compost bin when you come and see it and everything. And it's very practical. And I'm going to let Dougie tell you what Damn Yankee means, because he told you last week what it means. But I'm going to tell him again why they call it a Damn Yankee compost bin, because we're going to get into this video here pretty quick. It's in segments. It's in 6 or 7 segments. So we're going to run a segment. Me and Dougie are going to talk about it a while, and then we'll run the next segment, and hopefully we'll get through this within the hour and 15, something like that, and we'll get it. So Dougie, tell us what a Damn Yankee, what does Damn Yankee mean?
Well, Yankee is, you hear it, you've heard it your whole life. One of the American things, Yankee ingenuity. I know when I was in Japan training technicians over there, and I did something neat, and they were like, "Oh, wow!" I said, "That's Yankee ingenuity. That's why you guys can always copy us, but you'll never beat us." But that's a different story. And damn means like extremely or very. Like that's damn cool. That's damn groovy. Whatever. So Damn Yankee means damn ingenuitive. And what a Yankee is basically somebody who doesn't want to waste anything.
Right.
Doesn't want to waste anything. Like
Right.
reuse it. I mean, my parents had Chinese food takeout containers as Tupperware containers, the same ones for like 20 years. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
I
Why buy Tupperware? Why buy Tupperware? Just order Chinese.
Yeah, definitely.
Once every 20 years.
Fantastic. And coming through the Great Recession that we had back in 2008, I think a lot of people really sat back and started doing those things because we went through a time where money was tight and a lot of people didn't have jobs and stuff like that. So you start getting resourceful with what you've got. This is exactly the reason why I garden, because I like to be self-sufficient and things like that. And then COVID hit, and then all of a sudden, wow, everybody starts hoarding and stuff. Well, the next thing to hoarding is actually if you've hoarded something, obviously, if you didn't use it, you have it available, right? So you don't ever have to buy it again until you run out of it. But with the same breath is that sometimes you need these things to make stuff around your yard. Well, my wife, she is a very crafty woman, and she loves gardening or flower gardening. So she started collecting pallets, and when she makes these beautiful pallet planters that we put around the yard, and we just happened to have a whole bunch of other pallets. And I had made a compost bin or a pallet compost bin about 10 years ago, but it's rotting away. It's seen its best times, and it was time to do another one. So we got together and this is what we did, and we're just going to run through this first video and get you the setup. It's called we're just setting up the scene, and it's safety first. And we hope you like this. And here we go. Me and Doug will be back after this first clip. Okay, we'll see you guys. Hey guys, aka the Weathered Soul here, and as promised, as for the last couple of weeks, I'm going to actually show you how to make a compost pile with the nice southern music I got in the background. But anyway, we're gonna keep going on with it because I gotta have music when I work, and that's just the way we're doing it today. So anyway, take these 4 pallets right here that I picked out a couple weeks ago that my wife so generously gave to me because she likes to make pallet uh-oh. Due to technical difficulties, I have no idea what happened to my video stream, but it went blank.
Well, I wanted to comment, Bruce, in the meantime, your pallet compost box looks so much like, a standard, like textbook compost box. It's incredible. Although a standard one would be, one board like this and one board like this and one board like this, stacked up with a corner board and then something in the front that you can hinge off to get at the stuff.
Right.
And with pallets, it's like it's there. It's already there, pre-made. And if you want to dig your compost out, you just take one pallet off, right? Just take one side off and dig, put it back on and put it back in.
Yeah, got it. Let's see if this goes here. Let's see if we can get it to go. And it just keeps doing what it wants to do. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it, but let's go.
Well, this is what happens when you're on the cutting edge of technology.
I tell you, I pay I pay good money for this stuff, and here it is. And it's not gonna go. I just have no idea. Here we go. Let's see if it goes now. Oh man, I'm just so disappointed.
Right. Next time, get the beta version.
The beauty of technology will never see.
That's okay. I think you people got a picture of what that looks like, and while you're working on it, I can go over a couple of the concepts of composting. It's 2 major components you want to get out of your compost, right? You want to put carbon and you want to put nitrogen. Right. So carbon comes from all your brown stuff, even like pine needles, wood chips, twigs, dead leaves. And then your nitrogen comes from all the green stuff. Right. It makes sense. So, your lawn clippings, trimming from your plants or your trees, leaves, that kind of stuff. So that's really the basis of what you want to put in there. Now, we were talking before about, I know some people that put everything, even their like animal product waste in there. Like, I mean, I'm talking about poop.
Hey guys, aka
there we
the
go.
Soul here.
There we
As
go.
promised, for the last couple of weeks, I'm going to actually show you how to make a compost pile with the nice southern music I got in the background. But anyway, we're gonna keep going on with it because I gotta have music when I work, and that's just the way we're doing it today. So anyway, take these 4 pallets right here that I picked out a couple weeks ago, that my wife so generously gave to me because she likes to make pallet planters and stuff like that. So it was very painful for her to give up her pallets, but she's gonna give me her pallets anyway to go ahead and use. And another thing that you're gonna need to use is some cutting tools and some drills and some other things. So here's what I'm gonna be using. And you don't have to have all of these tools, but a nice handheld drill, you know, with some complete bits and stuff. I'm going to use a variation of saws. I've got a Sawzall here. This is becoming one of my favorite saws right here. This little orbital saw. You can use a jigsaw if you've got one, or a skill saw. It really doesn't matter. We're just going to be doing some light cutting today. And yeah, so that's how we're going to do it. And the next segment, as I come back, we're going to start doing this. All right? Bye. So another thing that you're going to be needing is you're going to be needing some deck screws. So I use these 3-inch deck mates that I can get from Home Depot or any place like that. And what these things will do for you actually is that they're going to be long enough to get through what you need to get through, because what we need to do is we need to get through this area right here with a screw long enough to hold everything in place. And the great thing about these deck screws that we have here is that they're like weatherproof. So I mean, you don't have to worry about them. I mean, the wood is going to probably disintegrate faster than those deck screws are going to. So that's one of the caveats about using in this particular instance. So use the deck mates. Make sure they're about 3 inches or longer, something like that. You don't really need anything any longer than 3 inches. I got some 3.5s in the shed, but I'm not going to use those. The 3 inches are going to be fine. So a couple of other things that I use while I'm doing this is I use a pair of gloves sometimes, because these things have a lot of splinters in them, a measuring device, something to mark with, my back brace, because some of us here that are watching this video do have back problems. So these pallets can get heavy and they're awkward to bleed with. And then I'm using a level for a straight edge, so I can scribe a nice straight edge when I'm marking out the measurements that I need. We're going to be cutting these down because the space that I have is only 36 inches wide. I want to make a nice 36 by 36 box. We don't need to worry about the levelness of the box, although we need to make sure that it is properly constructed right. So we're going to be cutting off these ends, but we're going to be using these ends to go end to end to make our box. And you know what, probably the most important part and the most important piece of safety equipment that we have today are these right here, these safety glasses. Because if you've ever used pallets before, or any type of wood, you know, number one, you can get a splinter in them and they don't feel very good. The splinters don't feel very good. They if you can get them out, that's great. If not, they sit there and they fester and they can hurt for a couple of days. But basically, if you've ever gotten any kind of splinters in your eyes or wood pulp in your eyes, you know that it's not a good thing to do. So always use your safety glasses before you start anything with cutting or anything. So I'm a real big advocate on this safety thing, so make sure you do that.
All right, so we had success on our first video. That was great. Hopefully the next one will go a little bit better than this first one went, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I'm a big safety advocate. So when you set up this thing, when you set up any type of working, just make sure that you have enough room to be working with. I mean, when we get into building this compost bin, I'm kind of in a compact area, but I've got a yard that I can work in. But yeah, you got to make sure that you know, those splinters in those pallets, and they can fester up pretty good after a day or two. They're not fun to have, and the older they are, the worse they are. Right, Doug? Now you gotta unmute yourself there, Doug.
Yep, I didn't want to hear you. I didn't want to interrupt your video. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's two schools of thought. You know, one is, well, of course, the best thing is to avoid splinters altogether. The other is, you know, dig it out, whatever. You got to cut a gash into your hand and pull it out with a pair of tweezers, do it. And then the other one is let it fester until it, gets a nice and loose, and just squirt it out.
Just squirt it out.
I found that worked really good with cactus spines.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't get. Yeah, I mean, you could feel it, but you can't even grab it with a pair of tweezers, and it's down in there.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I've had cactus spines go like into my knuckles, and yeah, there's nothing you can do. You just wait till they loosen up, and then just your body will help you eject them.
Right.
But yeah, you don't want to get a splinter. I mean, a splinter in the wrong place can give you blood poisoning.
Yeah.
It's not a fun. And your eyes. Always protect your eyes.
Even though I had these glasses on, I had a pair of safety glasses on, so I wanted to make sure that was very that was very like right out there. I need to get that going. So let's get cutting these pallets, and the tip is here: always measure twice. And here we go with our next video, and let's see what happens here.
All right, I'm back, and I've got everything all set up now. So I've got a couple of wood ponies or construction ponies, whatever you want to call them, and I've got my pallet sitting on top of it, and getting ready to measure here. And what I wanted to show you was we're going to do 2 cuts on.
There it went again.
I'll have to figure that bug out. It's probably just a new bug in the new software.
I'm sure it is probably the buffering software for the computer, and it just sucks. I really hate when that happens. You pay good money for the StreamYard app. I'll let you know exactly what it is, but it seems to me that I'm going to have to load these up one by one. But yeah, what we're doing is we're getting ready. Get yourself some sawhorses and things like that. And it'll do you well. One tip that I have for you about the sawhorse is that because you're working with an uneven surface, sometimes the sawhorses don't work. So when you're cutting this, I'm using a skill saw, and you'll be able to see that on the video when I share it with you. I'm going to load it up right now, because it seems to me that when they load up better, then we can go. So we're going to look at this. Yeah. We're going to look at this again.
All right, I'm back, and I've got everything all set up now. So I've got a couple of wood ponies or construction ponies, whatever you want to call them, and I've got my pallet sitting on top of it, and getting ready to measure here. And what I wanted to show you was we're going to do 2 cuts on these pallets, because I want them to be 36 inches wide, okay? But I also want them to go together correctly. So we're going to cut one. We're going to cut this side here, right here, because this is going to be actually my facing side, and we're going to cut that one at 36 inches.
So I want to cut right here, just right here at this point right here, because
you did that.
I wanted to make sure that we understood something here. I screwed up on this video, and I think I addressed it here in probably the video after, is that we're only making 1 cut. I mean, you only need to make 1 cut, and you only need to make the 36-inch cut, because all you need is actually the face of this compost bin. You really don't need the inside pieces other than the supports that actually hold the pallet together. But the back pieces, the back lats, are really what they do is they lessen the volume of your compost bin. And you can get your pitchfork stuck in there, but we're going to go forward. I just want to let you know that we're not going to make that second cut.
Or 3 feet. So we're going to make a line over here, and we're going to cut this particular piece off at 36, okay? And then we're going to back up, and we're going to do this part right here that I'm looking at right here. We're going to do that about 34.
And there we go again. So anyway, so back to what we were talking about before, is that there was a couple of cuts that I wanted to make. I really wanted to make this nice to where it kind of fit together like a glove. You had the inside and the outside coming together, and everything kind of staggered together the way it should be. And you know what? I actually made it really good and able to do that. However, when I put it together and I saw it, I realized that I really didn't need that, and so we don't need to make that second cut. So we're just going to go on with the second. Yeah. So let's cut the pallets again, and here's the next one.
So as we go through this video, like I said, I'm really safety hound. So when it comes to keeping all my fingers and toes and eyes and everything else, I want to make sure that everybody knows that safety is number one when we're talking about doing this. So if you're using a skill saw, which I'm going to use right now, I want to make sure that your blade height is correct, because remember, we're going to be cutting through this right here, but we're not going to be cutting through all 4 inches of it. We're only going to be cutting through this little part right here. So it's important that we only use as much blade as we need, because what happens is that you can have kickbacks, you can get into some situations that are really hairy with power tools. And if you're a novice at this, then maybe you should take a little time and learn your tools, learn how to do your tools. So right here on my tool, I have a little adjustment lever here. See right here, this little adjustment lever right here, that allows me to move my blade up and down. So I can move my blade up and down in here. So I can make it real small, or I can make it real large. And I know this is a terrible example, but this plate right here, it moves up and down to be able to use the cutting surface that you want to use. So that's something that's very important right now, and that you need to know when you're cutting wood. So I'm gonna do mine just so I'm able to cut about this much of the wood. I'll probably have about that much blade, maybe an inch of blade sticking out from the bottom of this plate right here. And it's just very important. You'll find yourself with less kickbacks and less problems when you're trying to cut wood. Okay, so I did my first cut. I want to show you that here. I cut along the 36-inch line that I drew, and we're not looking at rocket science here. So if you're off of the line a little bit, it's not a big deal. We're not looking for a nice square cut or anything, but we're looking for, a decent cut. I mean, you don't want to be an inch off or a half inch off or anything like that, but if you're, an 1/8 inch off, no big deal. Okay, so now we made our cut. We got a nice staggered cut here. See how we got this staggered cut here? One side is longer than the other, which is what we want. Okay, and now if I can just get over here, I'm going to show you how they made up. I'm gonna put my phone over here just for a second, so you can take a look at that other pallet that I'm using. Put my gloves on. Here we go. Maybe I should be using a tripod one of these days. I'll get this all taken care of. I'm not good at this making stuff, so this is my first video, and I know it shows, but I wanted to show you exactly how these things go together. So here we go. Don't mind my dogs over here because they're being idiots today. But I'm going to sit this up right against here for this other pallet to be there. And this is exactly how these pallets are going to look coming together. Let me show you what that looks like right here. Look at that mate right there. That's what we want to see.
Look at that mating. Look at that, Doug. Is that not expert craftsmanship right there? I mean,
yeah, I don't know what you're doing here, man. You're supposed to measure once, cut, and then go get new stuff.
Well, I went to Home Depot this weekend and actually was looking at wood, and I passed by the tongue and groove 3/4 inch exterior grade plywood, the tongue and groove stuff that goes on the outside of your house. Was $118 a sheet for a 4x8 sheet. That same piece of plywood was probably about $40 about 2 or 3 months ago. It's just incredible. Incredible. So we're going to go forward.
See how that made is? So the other part that goes over here is going to look exactly like this. And it's going to be a beautiful thing when we're done, because we're going to have a nice 36 by 36 compost bin for you to work with. So as I think through this and I'm doing all these cuts, I forgot one thing that I did with my first compost bin. And that was, I didn't worry about the second cut. Why did I worry about the second cut? Let me show you exactly why right now. As we put these together, you can see that it's very important that we cut that 36, right? So we can have this fit for our nice fit and our anchoring that we're going to be doing across the face of the compost bin. But do we really need these inside pieces to this pallet? And it's simply, no, you don't need them. You can use them if you want to. If it's a faster way for you to put it together, by all means, then use it. But you're reducing the capacity, number one, of your compost bin, and you're actually reducing the access that you have to the corners and things when you're actually turning your compost bin over. And it really doesn't add any extra support. So if I really wanted to add some extra support, I can show you that. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the rest of my pallets. We're going to remove these inside pieces, which are basically not needed, and then back, and then we'll do the rest of our compost bin.
So there was our video of at least the cutting of the pallets. And
so what you were saying there, you're just using the outside slats?
I'm just using the outside slats and the actual forklift parts, the vertical parts.
Yeah.
Vertical.
So if you were to turn that inside out so that the platform part of it was on the inside, would you be able to still secure it in the corners and all that, like the way you do? Because that overlap is pretty.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty slick the way you have that
it was
notched out, so you just screw the edges in.
I was impressed, but unless you have 4 pallets that are exactly the same, that stagger just doesn't really work, and you can't really secure those inside edges. So that's why I removed those. and then, like I said, you've got a little 4-inch gap, about this much in between, your inside and your outside, and all that's going to do is just going to gather your compost material. When I'm talking about compost material, because you wanted to talk about compost material, we're talking grass cuttings, we're leaves, we're talking kitchen scraps, fresh kitchen scraps. You like to use all kitchen scraps, which I don't have a problem with, unless
some people do. But there's certain things you don't want to. I mean, like eggs, and you don't want to throw meat and cheese and stuff like that in there. You really don't. I don't think it helps the compost any, and it makes it really stinky.
Yeah, it does not help your compost any. Believe me, it will make it stinky, and you will have some people that aren't really tip on.
Well, that's another thing too that I find in the summer. I'm producing a lot more lawn clippings than I am brown materials.
Right.
So sometimes I actually have to shred newspaper up.
Yeah.
And mix it in with the lawn clippings. Otherwise, the lawn clippings just kind of they get stinky. You know what I mean? They kind of get that swamp smell.
Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Tracy about peeved the other day when I was turning it over. But anyway, we're gonna take a little break here, and we'll be right back, guys. Okay? There we go.
All right, guys. So as I take a little break from my compost bin thing, my compost bin building and showing you how to do it, I just want to tell you I'm taking my Plexus break right now. I'm having my Slim right now, my pink drink, and it's real good. And I'm taking my Bio Cleanse, which are these 2 pills here, and my Vital Biome, which is my mood enhancing pill that keeps me level headed and not angry all day. Because this stuff can make you angry, but they're all pre-measured and everything for you. Same with the Slim. You don't have to do any guessing or anything like that. And you just take them. I take mine every morning. Just letting you know that, I do take these supplements and I live by them every day. And if you ever want some information on the Plexus products, info in the pit of your stomach at gmail.com. You can click the info below this video, and it'll take you right there. And I will get back to you, and we will get you started on your wellness journey. But after I'm done with this, we're going to get back to doing the rest of the compost bin.
You're muted. muted. You're muted.
Oh my gosh, I'm muted. See what
You did it this time.
all over again. Ah, geez. So anyway,
so what were you talking about? Fill me in.
I was talking about Plexus products. I was talking about how people can get information, and the one way they can get information is to email me at info.inthepitofmystomach@gmail.com, and I can give you all the information that you need to take care of the compost bin that's in your stomach, because you do have a compost bin in your stomach. That's exactly what your compost bin is supposed to do. It's supposed to make sure that all those bacteria and everything work really, really good in your stomach, and throw away the bad stuff, keep all the good stuff, make sure that your brain is getting the correct information to nourish your body and do all those good things that plant-based supplements and probiotics can do for you. Thank you for asking, DJ Doug. That's why he's the #1 co-host in all of podcasting for the best podcast you've never heard of, which is the one podcast.
You know, though, speaking about digestion, there are compost machines, devices that you can like compost your meat and cheese and that kind of scraps in.
Yep.
It's not recommended to do it in your backyard compost because it's too stinky and you don't really get enough benefit out of it. It takes a long time for stuff to break down like bones, but yeah, they do have things that will compost that stuff, total off-grid type.
Yeah. And there's one thing I really want to share with you too before we get into building this, because we've got a couple more segments to go on this build, is that when you're talking about compost materials, please do not put your dog poop and your cat poop and all that stuff in your compost bin. That is no.
Not if you're going to put it in your vegetable garden.
If you're going to put it in your vegetable garden, no. It's a big no. And a lot of people think that they could just put anything in their compost bin. We're going to talk a lot about compost, in the next couple of months, because I'm a gardener, Doug's gardener, and we love doing this stuff. So we're going to be talking about the different materials and stuff that you can use in your compost bin. But like I said, we're doing the Damn Yankee Compost bin out of Pallets. If you guys want to go out and spend a couple $100 on a nice little compost bin or something like that, that's all fine and dandy. They all work good. I mean, I'm not telling you that you need to make this Damn Yankee compost bin, but what I'm saying is that this is the kind of compost bin like Grandpa used to make.
Yeah, or you can do something as simple as go out and get like a 50-gallon trash can, like a household trash can, plastic or whatever, and drill a whole shitload of holes around it and start throwing your stuff in there. And guess what? Keep it wet, and it will compost.
Oh yeah, it's that simple, and you get some fine dirt out of it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's a million ways to do it. You can go out and buy one. You can have a contractor make one, but I'm telling you, there's nothing like when you see this compost bin at the end. You're going to be looking at it and go like, I've already had people go like, would you build me one? I go, no, but I'll teach you how to make one, because here's
did you look at him and go,
that's what we do anyway.
Sorry, guys.
The next video, and we are going to do what we call the build it portion, and it is build it and they will come. It's all about the fasteners. So just give me a second here. I'll load that one up, and here we go. Yeah, see, build compost bin #1. Here we go. We're flying. Boom.
All right, before I hand over the video camera to my wife Tracy, my production assistant, I just want to show you a couple things that I've done here. Is that we're actually using this compost bin to fill in a place in our side yard, but I want to make a fact that I'm doing this by my garden boxes where I have my garden net, and we need a pathway to be able to enter into this garden area. So it's really important that when you're setting your box, to make sure that you've got a pathway big enough for your wife or anybody else that wants to get in there to be able to access the garden area. So it's very important that you do that. Here is it's not connected up yet, but this is basically how your parts go together. Here's our parts right here. See, how that all comes together here. We got it corner to corner. All these parts will be being screwed.
So Dougie, you see right there where I've taken out all the lats in the inside, but I left the vertical portions up, where the forklifts would actually pick up the pieces. So when I talked about taking out all the parts, I didn't mean, I meant the inside slats, and that's what you're seeing there. So
Did you
screw together?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Did you pull the nails or cut them?
I cut the nails with my orbital. That's the beauty with that orbital. It's just fantastic. It cuts through everything like butter.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because those nails are too tough to.
Absolutely.
With those parts that I showed you, and we'll be getting started on this very shortly. Hi guys. So we're here ready to put the compost bin together. And I have to make a correction here. I'm not using these 3-inch deck mates right here that I told you at the beginning of the video that we're going to use. I'm actually going to use these 1 3/4 right here.
Cut, Dougie. That back belt makes me look fat, doesn't it?
Yeah. And where'd all your hair go?
They're going to work better. They are for decks, so they are weatherproof and things like that. So we're going to keep going forward, and I'll show you exactly how we're going to put this thing together. So my lovely wife Tracy, who's going to be doing the video here, she is my newest member of the Weathered Soul podcast, and she's going to be doing a lot of videos. You'll be seeing her, and this is her first video, and actually my first full-length video. So we're going to be working together, and this is how we do become a team. And I just love her, and I am just glad she's going to be part of the team. Anyway, so she comes up here and gets a close-up shot of me putting the fastener in. What I want to do is I want to make sure that this is flush here and that we're kind of square here, and then we'll take our fastener and we'll put it right in there like that and cinch it up. We'll put a couple in right now, and what we're going to do is we're going to go from corner to corner, just do a couple of little fasteners just like that. So what we'll do is we'll walk over here to the other corner. And Tracy will take a look. Tracy will be right here, and we want to get that corner nice and square like that. We really don't care about that down there because we're going to pull that out as soon as we get our first corners all put together. But what we'll do is we'll put another fastener right in here. These deck fasteners work fantastic for this situation, and they're really strong, and they will last for years because they are weatherproof. This wood will rot around it faster than the screws will go away. They will not rust. So what we'll do here is, now that we've got that in 2 spots done, we're going to rotate the compost bin. So we've got our first 2 sides here. We'll rotate this around like so. We'll take this other edge here that I have. I'm going to bring this around. And we're going to set these in here just like so. See how that all fits together? Really, really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and get my fasteners. I'm going to come back here and get my fasteners. We're going to line this up again. So we are nice and close here where we have a nice little flush area right at the top. And we'll put our fasteners in. 1 and 2. That's good enough for that side. And then we have a situation here where we had a problem with one of the, I'll bring Tracy over here. We had one of the problems where one of these didn't quite work right.
We're going to cut right there only because of the fact that I wanted to explain what we have here. It's like, I've always said, like, unless you get 4 identical pallets, you're going to have situations that come up like this. So you don't need to think ahead, but please, when you're taking your pallets apart, try to take them apart as complete as you can, because you never know when you're going to need a part, or you never know when you're going to need a length. And I was just lucky that this part was available that I was able to put in here because it saved the video. and because I did cut up the lats pretty good, but I'm glad that this part actually just kind of fell off the pallet, and I didn't even think about it until I needed it. But here we go.
So we're going to have a situation where this is kind of going to be maybe not too square, but
you see right there, that would have looked ugly, especially when you take a look at the whole box where you've got 3 nice square corners, and then you go to this 4th corner, it's all squished in, and it would look really,
a
really
solution
bad.
for that.
Dude, hold on. Dude, aesthetics mean nothing when you're talking Damn Yankee. Proceed.
One of the pieces that I pulled off is going to fit very nicely right into here and square us up really nicely the way I want it. And we'll be putting that in with the 3-inch fasteners. Okay, so we're back, and I'm using these 3-inch deck screws again, like I said I was going to use before, but now we have that situation right here where I need that fill in this gap here. So I'm going to fill in that gap with the piece that I pulled off of the pallets earlier, and that's what we're going to do. So we're basically going to move right over here so I can show you how we're going to put that together, and we're going to just squeeze that all together here. Make sure that that's all nice and flush there, and then we will sandwiches together, and that's nice and tight. That's a nice and tight thing right there. And what we'll do is we'll go on the back side with our 1 1/4, and we'll bring them in this way also. So you'll have a nice strong compost bin as soon as we're done. So
Damn knots.
They make that look so easy on DIY shows, but it's really not that easy. But as you get to learn your tools, you'll get to understand that they are the best tools around. Get yourself a little Impact Makita or Ryobi or a Milwaukee, whatever the case it may be. I just got this because they were on sale, and it's done me well. So I'm going to go continue and put this all together, and the next time you see us, we will be showing you a compost bin that is complete and ready to go. See ya.
All right. Yeah. So then you put a set of screws around the bottom too, right?
So yeah, in between the 2 cuts that we're going to do, because we're going to see the last 2 cuts, is that I did like they do on the DIY and make sure that they put it all together, and basically when I put all the screws in and everything, it was surprisingly strong. It's so much more stronger than the first one that I made a long time ago. So the first one I made was basically the same way. However, I made it with at the time all I had was drywall screws. And these, I just happened to have a deck made last year. So Kevin had a bunch of these deck screws and stuff like that. And he just left them here. He said, use them. So I still have them. And man, those deck screws, man, they're the best. I love them. There's nothing better than them deck screws. So
Yeah. There's also one thing too, when you're using an impact like that, you've got to be careful. Like if you're holding the screw and trying to get it started like that, because the impact is powerful, and sometimes the screw will start and it'll jump, and when it's long, sticking out that far, the tool will bounce off of the screw and jab inwards because you're pushing.
It'll get you.
You gotta be careful. Like you said, watch your hands.
It'll get you. It'll get you. So we're gonna come up here to the last one, and let me see if I can get it all queued up here. But this one is being called "Finish the Job. Don't worry about looks. It's strong."
Damn Yankee.
Damn Yankee. Hold on. Let's queue up that one here. And like I said, I had this all queued up. It was going to be a beautiful thing, and unfortunately, as in all podcasts that I know that has been doing videos, this happens with the same things. That's all the pro studios and stuff like that. But I don't have a pro studio yet. We have AJM Studios here, which is the best studio around anyway. For the best podcast you never heard of. Is that right, DJ? Just say right.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, we are essentially finished with the compost bin. There's a couple of little things I need to do. Like I said, I was going to put a little mesh back here because this is actually the back of my compost bin, and I'm going to put relatively up against the fence. It's not going to be all up against the fence there, but I want to keep my compost from going through the big holes there and essentially composting the fence with it, so we won't be doing that. But basically what I've got here now is I've got a nice strong corner to corner built with deck screws and old pallets that you can get. And there's lots of pallets available. All you got to do is kind of look around for them, and sometimes people will give them to you. Sometimes you work for a company that has pallets, but this is what I've got. This is a 3x3 by 42 inch high compost bin, and it will serve us well for years and years and years. In fact, that one back there has served me for about 10 years, maybe 8 or 10 years. So it's still going strong. I'm gonna put that one right next to here, and we'll start some more compost coming on. But I wanted you guys to show you that. You can click the link down below to get some information on subscribing to the podcast, the Weathered Soul podcast, because this is a Weathered Soul compost bin. And what Dougie would call it, DJ Dougie would call it, would be a damn Yankee. Because we don't get rid of anything, and we utilize everything that we can, that we save, to make sure that you can make stuff that's sustainable and stuff that just works in your garden. So it's a little bit of work. It took us about a little bit more than an hour or 2 hours to do this, but we are done with it now, and it's ours to enjoy for the next couple of years. See you later. Bye.
Well, I'll tell you, as far as pallet hunting go. Oh, one more video. I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Oh, pallet hunting. When I used to go to the big printing houses, and they're doing like magazines, quality stuff. The pallets that those sheets of those huge, like 1,000-pound stacks of high quality magazine paper come on are like furniture grade wood.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I used to love grabbing them, and usually I just cut them up and burn them. But I got a couple of oak ones.
Yeah.
Solid oak pallets.
Yeah.
You never know what you might find.
Yeah, in fact, my friend Vincent Ferrari, who has a podcast called Because We Make, he loves pallets because he says, some of the best hardwood that he's ever had has come out of pallets. And we're not talking about the treated pallets that you get from food houses and stuff like that. There's furniture pallets out there that are really good, oak and maple, and you'd be surprised what kind of wood that you can get out of pallet. I mean, just trying to take a pallet, apart sometimes, and you just go like, oh my god, this thing is so strong, and it's because of the quality of the wood that they use, and it's not just the nails, because the nails, they'll come out. I mean, it takes a little bit of time.
They use those spiral nails.
Yeah, I mean, you put a nail in this wood, and that wood is hard, so it's not going to be easy to pull those nails out, whether they be spiral, whether they should be 8-penny or whatever. But I mean, those are the kind of woods that you will find. So believe me, that compost bin will be there for a while. So we just got one little additional step to do, and then we'll wrap this up for today.
All right, guys, I got all my parts all done. I'm getting ready to bring them over to the spot where I'm going to make the compost bin. But I wanted to show you one extra step that I'm going to take on these, and you don't have to do that. It's just up to you. To me, it retains more of the compost in your in your compost pile, but the slat in the pallets should take care of most of the situation. My first compost bin just has it. But what I'm going to do with my next compost bin is I'm going to use this chicken wire that I have. I've had this laying around for years and years and years. So I'm going to use this chicken wire right here, and I'm going to line the outside of my compost bin with this chicken wire. What I'll do is it's going to help me with the with holding the compost and the contents that I put in the compost pile in my compost bin. But however, like I said before, it's just an extra step that I want to take, because I'm going to do this actually upon my new fence here. And what I don't want to do is to have that compost laying against this fence, and composting my fence, of course. That's what it's probably going to do. But as you can see in my old compost bin that I have, when we're going to move that compost bin, I don't have that chicken wire. So I'm going to go through the steps of at least putting chicken wire on the back of my compost bin, up against this fence area, so I don't have that problem. But of course, like I said, you don't need that because most of your compost is going to be big and bulky, and you're not going to have that problem. You might have some leakage out on the sides of your compost bin. That's okay. You just kind of put it back in the compost bin and it takes care of itself. So next time you see me, we're going to be over in that area that I showed you here. And we're going to be handing the video camera over to my lovely wife and production assistant, Tracy. And I'm going to go through the motions of putting my compost bin together.
So we were out of so we were out of a little sequence there, but you get the idea. And what I'm doing is I'm going to share my screen again with you guys, because I actually took pictures of my compost bin when I was done with it, and I want to share with you exactly what that compost bin looks like. Quick
comment from Professor Dougie.
Professor Dougie, go ahead.
If anybody's concerned about the galvanized wire going into the compost bin, please don't be. It's perfectly safe. Most compost bins are neutral, so they're not going to have a galvanic reaction with the zinc, and the iron is good for you.
There you go.
Right on.
So what I ended up doing is that you can see right here, we got the compost bin. It's set in place. I've got all my, actually on three sides, I have the mesh. Back here, I have that little 1/4 by 1/4 mesh that I had. And then here I've got like about a 3-inch mesh on each side. It actually, if you can see it really good, you can blow it up if you need to. If you go full screen, you can see it. And then also you can see it really good right there where I took the mesh and I put it, and that's going to be plenty of air that's going to be able to get into your compost, and it's going to be plenty of mesh to keep all your bulky stuff in. And like I said, you're going to get leakage out here on the sides and out here, and all you got to do is just scoop it up and push it back in. It's fine. That's just the way that is the nature of a compost bin. Like I said, if you want a real fancy compost bin, that's fine and all dandy. You can go ahead and get one, because you can buy them anywhere. If you want one, you can do it. I mean, it's not a big deal if you have one or not. The fact is that this one happened to cost me $0.
Hey, look, I made mine out of scrap wood in the yard. I didn't even nail the corners together. I just stacked the wood up, pounded some 2x4s into the ground around it, put some 2x4s in to make gaps for space, for air, and started filling it up. And it's compost.
Yeah, it's compost, and that's the way it is. So there's many ways to skin a cat, and it's just one of the ideas that I came up with years ago on how to make a compost bin. Dougie has a compost pile. He doesn't even have a compost bin. He has a
I've got a box around it, but it's like I said, all it is boards with stakes behind them. It's not really, Well, look, for instance, last year, what my compost pile, we had a pumpkin that made it through the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so in the spring, I took it out to the compost pile and I split it in half, and I threw lawn clippings over it. A couple of weeks later, pumpkins were coming out, so I just left it. So I had a pumpkin growing out of my compost pile last year.
Yeah, cool.
I just started another pile next to it, so
it's fantastic. Just a fantastic thing.
Whatever.
So anyway, like I said before, hey, we would love you. We love everybody who watches this podcast. Our listenership goes up and down by the week, but we would love you to go to iTunes and give us a rating, please. You can go here to our Weathered Soul podcast page. This is proof we're on the Weathered Soul podcast. If you click the Weathered Soul podcast on the page there, you'll come to all our links, and those are all our shows that we have on iTunes. And you can go to the reviews and the ratings, and you can check out the reviews. We just happen to be related to all these wonderful shows that Dougie hates, but I mean, none of these are Dougie's favorite people, but probably. There's a handful of them that I'll listen to, but
I don't know much of them.
Anyway, but iTunes is the number one place where people go to actually download podcasts. It's the number one place where people get ratings, and that's how you get up in the podcast stratosphere, so to say here in the podcast business. And we love every one of our listeners. And there's Dougie again. He is my number one guy as far as what we call co-host, because without Dougie, I would be way up in the sky here thinking that I was like Dan Bongino or Joe Rogan or somebody else like that, and I would think that I would have a million listeners. But please share this info with a friend. We'll have show notes down at the bottom of the page where you can click on. I will personally give you plans on how to do that compost bin with the material sheet and stuff like that. All you have to do is subscribe to the podcast and leave your email address or something like that. Leave me a comment. I'll make sure I get a hold of you. And if you're interested, I can give you the plans to make your compost bin. And it's just a real pleasure to have DJ Dougie with me every week to do this podcast, man. I love you, brother. We're getting ready for a big weekend, man. Your wife's birthday, my birthday.
My brother's in the state.
Your brother's in the state?
Yeah. He sent us a picture from the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, cool. So he's coming into town. So we're all going to have a great big party this weekend. And it's nice just trying to get back to normal here. We'll have a little barbecue, a little music, and man, it's just going to be a fun time. But like I said, we love you guys. We thank you for being here every week on the Weathered Soul Podcast. If you share this, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe, give me a comment, give me something. I promise you that we will be back next week. So DJ Dougie,
whether you like it or not.
I'm here to say good night, Dougie.
Good night, Dougie.
And we thank you for watching the Weathered Soul Podcast. Please share this episode with a friend and subscribe to our YouTube page. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.